Hello divas, welcome back to our channel Diva Flea. As I stated before, I'm gonna be posting videos 3 times a week, so help keep me consistent, make me accountable for what I said I wanted to do and accomplish in this year. So I've already uploaded the Monday spiritual video about morning routine, so go and check that out. Like, share, subscribe that. But for today is Lifestyle Wednesdays. So in keeping with the same topic, morning routines, I want to get right into what our lifestyle looks like as far as our morning routines. Again, in the last video I stated my morning is broken up into 3 parts. One, my time with my husband, because he has to get off to work early in the morning, like 5 a.m. And then our children both ride the bus to school, but that second part is preparing them to go off to school. And then the third part is preparing myself to go off to my co-working space. So let's get into it. For my husband, like I said, me and him do spend time in prayer. We do the declaration before we walk out the door. So most of our morning, the bulk of our morning is spent on devotional and spiritual time, whether it be together as a family, time us individually. But that is the bulk of our morning. It is really spent on focusing on God. That way we know that he'll download those things that we need for the rest of the day. He's preparing us for the things that we need for the rest of the day. But as far as lifestyle, what me and my husband decided, it was like about, I think, 3 years ago. We've been married like 4 years now. But 3 years ago, we decided like our conversations that we have in the car can be very intimate because it's time that we have in the day that's just me and him. So what we decided to do, instead of going through the laundry list of things that the kids need or we need at home or whatever, is to set up those conversations for time just to get to know each other and build our relationship. So one of the things that we did, one of our friends seeded our first book, which was the 5 love languages. So we kind of read that in parts. As he would drive to work, I would read, or I would drive and he would read. And we read through that book and we talked through that book. And that's what our time in the car was spent doing. Now we have a book that's like a conversational starter from that same author, and I will link it below, or if you have questions about it, I'll share that in the comment section, because we kind of keep it in the car and I totally forgot to bring it in to record the video. But we got that book. I think I got it from Half Price Books or Kohl's, one or the other. But it's just like a starter book. So he made prompts with certain questions, or it's like conversation starters. So if you are totally want to do that on the cheap, you can go on Pinterest or just Google it online, like good conversation starters. So we usually only do one question and then it leads into further and deeper conversations. So it's so much fun, and I've learned so much about him and he's learned so much about me from that. So that is one of the things that we do in the morning. For us, it's vital for us to come together and just talk. Like sometimes, and you may relate, once you have children and different things on your schedule, like you do not want your spouse to just become like your roommate. Me and my husband are both committed not only to our marriage, but to have a thriving marriage. So it's important to have those times about talking about just being him and our growth. So that's what happens in the first part of the morning with him. Then I go into, when I come back home, usually my time is spent between engaging in the children and being their timekeeper. So it's always, my children are a lot like me in that, and not as excited in the morning. So they I tend to have to kind of remind them, hey, you know, about 5 minutes, okay, let's move on to eating, or, you know, kind of really keeping them engaged in that. Like I said, my daughter on the spiritual video, I think I talked about, I'm not sure if I edited it out or not, but my daughter, she has her own devotional book that she picked out, so that's something that she does in the morning. Our son Jaden has autism, so he is not like reading a devotional book, but I may read a scripture to him, or we'll just have worship music playing throughout the house to kind of set his morning and kind of help them along. But a lot of that is like, hey, we've already laid out the clothes, which I'll talk about that on Fashion Friday, but a lot of that is just kind of like, hey, getting them to the next stage. Okay, you got on that. Okay, put on your shoes. Did you spray your hair? All of that. So I'm kind of just coaching them through the morning. That's what my morning looks like with them. And then usually I will walk them. Their bus is at the back of our apartment, so I'll either walk them to the back, or in the morning. San Antonio is weird. Like, it does everything but snow. And sometimes that happens, you know, like once every, 5 years or something. But so sometimes I'll drive them back there because it may go from hot in the morning to raining to I don't know what. So if we drive back there, then I'll play like worship music in the car, or I'll just talk to them about their devotional, or kind of, is there any little last minute things that they need to prepare for school. So that's what my morning looks like with them. Or decor, I guess, as far as our lifestyle, the only thing that we do, I guess, lifestyle wise is we like to make sure our beds are made before we leave. It's just something about kind of tidying up and, you know, coming back home to like that clean space when you come back home. So we try to set that up in our household by kind of doing a quick tidy up. The kids are responsible for their room, making their beds, kind of tidying up their shoes, whatever. And then I'll kind of do that in the living room, a little in the kitchen, and then in our room. Make sure that at least our bed is done, and just a quick little clean. And then as far as me, so what I've done that has been really helpful, because like I said, I am not a morning person. These are all the ideal things that our morning looks like, but me not being a morning person, I know I need to stay organized. So I am a list maker and a check it twice. So I've made a block schedule, and I found out about it on YouTube. And again, I cannot think of the woman that I found out about it, but if y'all have the question, I will link it below, because she did an awesome breakdown, and I can't get really into all of that. But the concept of the block scheduling is as if you were in school. So if you were in school, typically, like if you go to class like middle school or something, you may go to math and then PE. So the concept of the block scheduling is that you set those blocks for that particular time, and in that time you focus on those things, and when you move on to the next block, you move on to the next block. Just like if you were in school, if you were in a math class, when you moved on to PE, you're still not worried about the math class, you're now focused on PE. So I do the same thing for me, and it really helps. So I have 6 blocks in my block schedule, which include in the a block that's morning, and it's broken down everything that I do in the morning. Another thing about block schedule is it's not like little 30-minute increments. It's like 2 to 3 hours. So you have that block of 2 to 3 hours. You list under that what all you're doing, and then you move on to the next block. And if it didn't get done, it didn't get done. Now you're able to focus on what you need to focus on in that next block. So for me, I have a block that is called my morning block, which I'm talking y'all through now. And then I have a work block. So that's once the kids, that's from when I wake up to about 9 o'clock. So that means the kids kids are off, they're off to school, my husband's off to work, I'm dressed, and then we go into my next block, which is work. And that's when I work on videos and emails and go into my co-working space to work on just the various things that I work on as an entrepreneur or my nonprofit. Then I go into my next block is after school. So after school, I don't want to be working on work when my kids come home from school. I want to be engaged with them. I want to be engaged with my husband when he gets off of work. So that's what I do in that block. Sometimes it's food prep. I don't want the video to go too long, but it's all different things that goes in that. And then we have an evening block, and then I have a night block, and then I have my sleep block, which is my favorite block. No, but it's just those things that I kind of keep in mind. And like I said, ideally I love to set those things in place, like with my husband, having those talks. But sometimes he's driving to work and I recline my seat and go to sleep. Ideally I would like it to be a major engagement and deep conversation that I have in the morning with my kids. But sometimes they don't want to talk to me because they just don't want to talk in the morning. So we just play worship music and keep it moving. So these are some of the things that we deal with in lifestyle, our morning lifestyle routine. I miss food. So in the morning, for food in our household, cereal. If the cereal is out, sorry, I'm really sure about southernness. Cereal. If the cereal is done, then we move on to oatmeal. We always have oatmeal for the clutch. And you don't need milk for that. So the kids eat breakfast at school. My husband's job, sometimes they'll bring in food and all of that. So really it's just a thing of, I like them to have something before they go, because you just never know. The bus could be running late and then they miss breakfast at school. And I think for them, I know them, and being able to know that they've had something to eat is good. So for us, a simple bowl of cereal really works for them. We use almond milk. Her son has a dairy allergy and soy allergy. So there's no dairy and there's no soy. But we found almond milk, which is awesome. And then we all end up liking almond milk. So that's pretty much the only thing that we use in the house now. So they'll do almond milk and some cereal, and they're on the way. It's easy for everybody. For me, I am, like I said, I'm not a morning person, and my stomach isn't either. I never really have a desire to eat breakfast. I love breakfast foods, but it's more like I like to eat it like for lunch or dinner. I don't know. I know that I'm weird and I can't explain some of my weirdness. But so for me, my breakfast usually consists of water. And that's it. I drink a bottle of water, and then I try to take a bottle of water with me when I go off to work. When I want to be fancy or on a health kick, I add apple cider vinegar, which is amazing, and like a few drops of lemon juice. So that's my fancy breakfast. But for the most part, I don't eat breakfast, and my husband stays on me, and because he knows I'll get to going and I'll pass lunch if I'm focused on work. So he tries to get me to have something in the morning, but most mornings my breakfast is water. So what is your morning routine look like in your household? Like, is it lively? Is it quiet and calm? What's going on? Do any of these tips help you? Are there things that you do that you know based on what I've told you about my life that will be helpful to me? Like, that is what those comments are, that comment section is for below. So go ahead and put those comments in, engage with me. I would love to engage with you. I'll keep an eye on the comment section. Like I said, You can, I have social media, but I don't use it. So it's best for you to comment or message me here on YouTube, or send me an email at divafleet@gmail.com. Again, I thank you for watching my blog, keeping me accountable, and connecting. So I love you, God loves you, and have a wonderful day, divas. Bye. In your hand, beautiful woman. Do you think, girl? Love, 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 love. Love you, cause Deeva. Hello, we first started, I think, like 3 years ago. A friend of ours, Shamiria, it was, you know how you get family like once you get married. So she was a close friend of my husband's, and now she's a part of our family. So I gained friends and family when we got married. Another awesome thing to being married. Can you tell that I love marriage? Okay, full copies of this book. So she seeded one into us. So this was the first book that we read in the car, and it is called The 5 Love Languages, and it's a very popular book. Most people know about this book, whether you're married, relationship, or not. So we started reading this book. So if my husband drove, then I would read, or I would drive so he could read. But we would just read that in the morning and like discuss it. You know, we would have a time to read, and then we would pause and we kind of know the route to his job now. So we kind of know, like, hey, you know, we would stop at a certain point to where we could kind of discuss what we read. So that was like super helpful. And we got through this book, and this, probably looking at our schedule, we would have thought we don't have time to read a book, but we had time together to read this book. It was just in the morning. So that is something that I do with my husband in the morning. Since we've read that book, we actually keep these books in our car. So that's another tip that I can give. If you intend to do it, keep it in the space that you intend to do it in. Like, if you want that time with your husband on the phone, or when they're driving, whatever, keep it in a place that you can easily grab it. So we just kind of keep it in our car. These books kind of never come inside because our intention is to engage with them in the car. So we keep them in the car. So after we read that one, we realized that same author, he does I hope I'm getting it all in the shot. But he does a conversation. It's 101 conversation starters. And we got this one. I think I got it at Half Price Books. I don't know if I edited that out on my other, the spiritual video, but I love Half Price Books. Like, do y'all have a Half Price Books in your area? If you're not from San Antonio watching, oh, I love Half Price Books. I love books. And then I love a sale. So that is like merging. And then they have a whole like Christian section. So they like, I love God, I love books, and I love sales. It's like, oh, yes, I love this store. And then they have awesome like calendars. Okay, I'm kind of going somewhere and I need to bring it back. I realize I'm kind of going off topic, but I was saying that to say, like, it doesn't have to be expensive. So if you don't want an actual physical book, you can always go on Pinterest or just Google it. Just Google fun conversation starters, or conversation starters for couples, or questions that my husband may want to know, or it's all different kind of questions on Pinterest or Google or whatever. But we got the physical book, so that, you know, it keeps it before us. Sometimes if it's on Pinterest, that was one of the things, like, am I gonna really go on that in the morning? So to be more purposeful, we have that tangible thing. So I'll just, like, sometimes even leave it in my seat in the car, so I know as soon as I sit down, like, I pick it up. So it has all kinds of fun questions, or I have like multiple choice questions or fill in the blank questions, and we just do like one question a morning, so it will last you. It will last you. So, or sometimes we get into two, but sometimes that one question, like I said, it's a conversation starter. So sometimes that question will have you engage into, it'll just flow into other questions. So that's what I do in the morning with my husband.